Do you like winning MMR but don't actually like being good at the game or thinking? Hi, Billy Mays here for Visage. Now you might be saying, Philip, you're like 3k MMR, what qualifies you to give your opinion on anything? Or, I have 300 billion hours in the game and I don't think I've ever played with or against a Visage so far. I'm just gonna go watch Mason stream. Guess what, fucker? The fact that you've never seen a Visage before is the exact reason that it's gonna win you so much MMR, because nobody is ready for it. And it's not like you're going to see any high-ranked players making a guide for Visage, because at the high ranks, things like being a ranged creep for the entire laning stage and falling off harder than the Dota 2 player counts, that's seen as detrimental. Visage is a ranged intelligence hero who is most commonly played mid and offlane right now. He can also be played as a support, but this guide will be focusing on core Visage because I do have a penis. As far as starting items go, if you're mid, make sure you get a couple of tangos, then I like going for Branch, Fairy Fire, and Crown. Crown makes for good starting stats, and it also builds into Drums and Rod of Atos, which are both situationally good items for you. If you're offlane, figure it out, I'm not your dad. So one thing you need to understand is that before level 6, Visage is the most boringest hero in the entire video game of Dota 2. You sit in mid, and you try to last hit with your 12-second long attack animation, but oh, don't worry, it actually gets imperceptibly faster if you use Grave Chill, which has like a 0% uptime, and you don't even have the mana pool to use it very much anyway, and my nuke is dog shit because I'm Visage mid and I don't have any charges in my stupid thing, and it isn't even AoE, so it's not like I can push the lane or anything, and I don't have a stun, or a mobility spell, or any way of contesting runes, and my offlane anti-mage has died 3 times already. It's only 4 minutes into the game, and now my mom is saying that I have to go to bed in 20 minutes because I have school tomorrow, but I don't know if the game will be over by then, and I have to pee, but then pause, breathe. All will be well when you hit level 6. Until then, just accept that you'll probably get a little bit behind in the laning phase. Just use Grave Chill when contesting last hits and harassing. Don't be afraid to buy salves, raindrops, and clarities as needed. You'll be fine. All that matters is hitting level 6. The laning stage is definitely easier to tackle if you go offlane, as you can invest points into your nuke and you'll actually get charges for it, unlike mid. So that might be the play if you're a little bit higher MMR, but in the legend bracket you can definitely get away with Visage mid. It'll just be a rough first few minutes. Once you're 6, your life becomes way easier thanks to your ultimate, Spawn Bird. This spell summons 2 familiars under your control that have flying movement and attack really quickly, but they don't do that much damage per hit. This means that they're easily countered by damage blocks, so Crimson Guard, Void Spirit E, just as a couple examples. If left unchecked, however, they do a surprising amount of damage. Always, always, always remember to use Grave Chill when attacking with your birds, because the attack speed buff applies to them as well, making them like tiny little harbingers of death. At this point, you just reached your first big power spike. This is a really good time to go for a surprise kill on the enemy mid laner. Remember, your opponent probably didn't even know that Visage was a hero in the game until like a few minutes ago, so they definitely won't be ready for you to start shooting like 3,000 little balls of ghost jizz at them every second. Now that you have your birds, you become a serious threat towards towers. In some lower ranked games, the enemy mid will just roam without anybody replacing them, and you can just straight up kill the enemy tier 1. If it doesn't look like you'll be able to kill the enemy tower anytime soon, however, I recommend rotating to fight and push in another lane once you've made a little bit of progress on your items. So there are lots and lots of options for items as Visage. The Immortal Faith guide recommends Brown Boots, Hand of Midas, but I would say Immortal Faith, more like Immortal Eighth. In all seriousness, I think this is really situational, and while it can definitely work sometimes, I recommend a more active early game and don't value this so highly. Helm Dom used to be the go-to Visage item because it had the % damage amp which applied to your birds, but that got switched over to Vlad, so that's now my most commonly built Visage item. From there you can go Drums if you just want to quickly and consistently scale, Ags if you just want more bird, Solar Crest is good. For your boots, I would go Phase, Rod of Atos if you need some catch. You can even throw in an AC or Pipe / Crimson Guard if your team needs it and your offlaner is building Dagon for some reason. Honestly, there are tons of viable item builds on this hero depending on the game. You could make Meteor Hammer Veil work and just combo with your bird stuns, or you could stack auras and right-click towers. The world is your oyster, just please don't autopilot rush Midas every game because the guide told you to. Yeah, I'm not telling you that. Okie dokie, you have your ultimate and your team hasn't rage quit yet. Way to go, champ. Now it's time to fuck. At this point, you're often the strongest hero on the map, but don't just run around solo trying to rack up that kill streak. Bad mid player. Visage is strongest when fighting with his team, as on your own you don't really have enough control. Plus, if you're with your team, you'll get more charges on your W, so you'll just do more damage. Win-win. Your job is pretty much to make space with your team. If the enemy lineup is greedy, you can group early and try to deathball, usually starting at the enemy's safe lane tower. Often you'll have some early aura items and the enemy team just won't be ready for you. If you can just convince your team to follow you and push together, these games become really easy. If your offlane underlord decides to AFK farm the safest camps in the jungle for 35 minutes, then the game might be less easy. Other times your lineup might be the greedy one, and then you have to play a little bit differently. You're no longer going to be the star of the show, and the name of the game will be making space for your Spectre who died 4 times in lane, buffing up your team with auras, solar cresting your carry, etc. If the game goes late, you're not really going to be the powerhouse that you once were, so this scenario is not ideal. I wouldn't really recommend picking Visage unless you have a team that can fight with you early when you're strong. Okay, hopefully you crushed their overly greedy lineup already, secured Roshan and Outpost, and you're about to threaten high ground. If so, congratulations to me for successfully teaching you how to play Visage. If not, then sorry loser, maybe being a winning Chadular Visage pro just isn't for you. Goodbye now.